Hello and welcome to this special edition of NewsMobile. By the way, I am Saurabh Shukla.
And I'm Shipra Narayan.
And today we are talking about the Republic Day special as the country celebrates Shipra's 70th Republic Day. It's time for us to introspect what have we achieved in the last 70 years and what are the areas where we still have a long way to go.
Right.
And that's what is the focus of our By the Way today. Shipra, coming to, if you ask me, one of the greatest things of India's democracy has been the freedom to speak out, freedom to express ourselves. Our democracy is vibrant. We've had a change of government which has gone on smoothly. We are talking in an election year, and we've had transition of sorts when many democracies, in fact, if you see India's immediate neighborhood as well, in fact, two countries, if you see the case of Pakistan and India, India stands apart and today is recognized as the greatest democracy in the world. Yes, we have some pitfalls, but democracy is something I would say is one of the biggest strengths India has.
In fact, if you look at the second biggest democracy, which is United States, they also gave the right to every adult to vote only 150 years after independence.
Sure.
Whereas here, right from the time we got our independence, every adult has got the right to vote, and that is a big one. Even though we've had governments change, the transition as such has been very smooth, and that is a huge positive. Democracy in India is a positive thing, is a strength, and is a workable mode. And that is something which is huge. Another thing, Saurabh, which is remarkable in the way that has happened within India is the way things have moved in terms of our industrialization, in terms of the movement. From a country that was a developing nation, our growth rate is even higher than most of the developed nations. So that's a big tick for India, the way things have happened. And I think in 70 years of us celebrating our Republic Day, it's something that all of us as Indians can look at with our heads held high.
Another big, I would say, achievement for India is the whole transition from an economy. India was dubbed as the land of snake charmers.
Yes.
Now it's a different mouse.
Absolutely.
That we're talking about. India today is a digital superpower.
Yes.
We have embraced digital economy. Our way of life, if you see the new India, the new generation, they are so, I would say, digitally tuned to the way of life.
Right.
They can't think of life beyond digital means. And I think in some ways, one of the other achievements of India's republic in 70 years has been embracing the digital economy in a very seamless manner.
And not just digital sort of technology, of course, has made huge rides in India, but it's also our scientific innovations.
Yes.
You look at it, 104 satellites is what India has launched till date. That's a huge one. Our scientific space defense, one of the few countries that has ensured that in a democracy, defense can be separated. And that is a big one. We're one of the strongest defense forces in the country.
Yes.
So I think a combination of all of them has made us a country that is technologically savvy, has the borders strengthfully cornered off. It is all there, and at the same time the innovations that we are making in the scientific field are absolutely going ahead with leaps and bounds.
Another achievement I would say in the last 70 years has been the whole liberalization. I think India's liberalized economy today stands apart as an economy which is also inclusive. If you see schemes like Ayushman Bharat schemes, so it reflects something of a welfare state of a country which embraces the liberal system of economy, liberalization, yet it makes sure that the poorest of poor, if you see the Ujjwala scheme for instance, yes, there is criticism about the implementation. The fact remains that we still have a long way to go, but the fact that schemes like these have really transformed the Indian I would say landscape in the last
and that's
70
the
years of the
reason
Republic.
why, whether it's multinationals, it's venture capitalists, it's people coming in. We have opened up the corridors, we've opened up the boundaries. There are more and more money that is coming in from the outside. People want to come inside India, they want to invest here because that's the kind of future that is there in the country. The youth, the technology, I mean, you look at the IT field across the world, the number of Indians who are there in positions of importance in technology across the globe, you'd find majority of them who have Indian backgrounds. So that's a big one that has happened. You're also talking about the policies that have got. So whether it is of course, yes, there is a lot still to be done, but at the same time, our literacy rates from the time when we got independence to now have gone up a lot. So yes, those are big strengths. India is a vast country. It is also very important for us to understand the geographical reach of the country. It's a country which has high density of population. People are spread. So from mountains to the south, we have everything. We have extremes of weather and all of it. To be able to function in that kind of diversity is a huge one.
Absolutely. Another big area I would say which is of India's achievement and which has to be celebrated is India's growing clout in global affairs.
Yes.
Today, India is a superpower in its own right. Whether it's a multilateral body like the UN, whether it's a bilateral engagement, every country across the globe recognizes a new India.
Yes.
And that has happened, I would say, in the last 2 decades. Where India's global recognition has come of age. Yes, we still have to become the member of the UN Security Council. That has still not been expanded. We are trying to get that expanded. But today, India is recognized as a global and an economic power as well. Imagine, Shipra, the country that colonized us, Great Britain.
Yes.
Today, India's economy is far ahead of the British economy.
Absolutely.
There are, if you see India's human resources, the top Fortune 500 companies, many of the technology, look at the technology companies, companies like Google, Microsoft, they all have Indians heading these companies.
Absolutely.
So clearly, the global Indians have made the country proud, even in the era of arena of sports. You see, it's cricket. Cricket is something we are in the year when the World Cup will take place, and we are considered favorites to win the World Cup.
We are setting records which are the first ever, and sort of picking up from the fact, I think also self-sufficiency is one thing that India has really made a lot of progress in. Whether you talk of production of food grains, there was a time when we got independence where we were not self-sufficient. We had to export it from outside. We had to, import it from outside. We needed it. Right now, the situation is so vast. We are self-sufficient to the fact that we're in fact helping other countries with it. So I think a lot of clout, in fact India also becoming a superpower for the South Asia community, whether it is Sri Lanka or countries like this. India has a huge role, Bangladesh, we have a huge role to play in the way their economies function, their political scenarios function, and that I think is a big boost for India.
I think one of the biggest I would say achievements in the last 70 years since India became a republic has been India has been a country which has embraced not only countries in the neighborhood, the whole idea of that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that itself embraces India's rise as a country which has always been a peaceful country, which has advocated peaceful means. Yet it has made sure that there is in the neighborhood, the other countries actually blended into Indian economy. If you see, you were talking about South Asia, I would say beyond South Asia as well. The whole ASEAN region. Today, there's the talk of India being a country that stabilizes things in the Indo-Pacific region. So be it countries like Japan, be it countries like of ASEAN, we have been at the forefront of, be it anti-piracy operations to relief efforts when earthquake happens in Indonesia. So that's something, that's a new India which has changed the way we are perceived globally as well. And that's a hallmark of a leader as well.
In fact,
global
70
arena.
years, Saurabh, I think it's absolutely right to say that India represents the term, the thing called unity is diversity very well.
Yes.
Whether it is our tolerance for religions, of course, a few things here and there would happen. As we say, it's a vast country. But overall, our tolerance for religion, our tolerance for different castes, our tolerance for ensuring that everybody from different stratas function together,
truly a pluralist country. Absolutely.
Is something that is being lived every day. The whole thing that there are certain fundamental rights that we have as citizens of this country are something that are given. Saurabh, very quickly would also want to mention the way Supreme Court has come in.
Absolutely.
We've had landmark cases this year, LGBT community, gender equality, the women right, triple talaq. These are things that have brought forward the new India, the future of India.
Absolutely. And another thing, before we shift gears, I think this India's soft power has been recognized, be it from Bollywood to yoga. Yoga today is a global phenomena. You have the International Yoga Day, which has been embraced by the global community, and they realize that it is India's gift to the world. So I think the new India, the resurgent India, in the last 70 years of the Republic, we have achieved a lot. Yet, we have a long way to go. Let's look at areas like, for instance, climate change. I think environment, we have to make our citizens breathe. That's something which is going to be a major challenge. And I think our the government, be it the government, the civil society, the media, the judiciary, all have to join hands, and people at large, to help us breathe cleaner air.
And I think that's one thing that India has to come forward, use technology to ensure that we can overpower things like pollution, the environmental hazards that we have. So that's of course one thing. The second point, Saurabh, is of course going to be very importantly women's security.
Absolutely.
Women's safety, child security, that is something that India has to work hard on. Even though there are laws, the implementation is the question mark. How is that happening? Are different groups, whether it's NGOs, citizen groups, the government, the police, all of these things have to come together, join hands to ensure that women can go out, work, be shoulder to shoulder. Gender equality, we're talking a lot about it, but yes, there are things that have to be done. Absolutely. And going forward, by the time we reach 71st, I hope things move in the right direction.
Absolutely. And another area adding to that is we have to make a real inclusive India. We have to make sure we have to address the genuine concerns of farmers. We have to make sure the unemployment issue is tackled. So we really genuinely need to create the true skilled India, where the skills which get them jobs, people and the young students who are there in the villages, they are trained and employment is generated in the villages. So beyond agrarian economy as well, India's economy diversifies. We find a way to coexist, because you can have liberalization coexisting with a system where the poorest of poor, the last mile, gets the benefits of the welfare state.
And also one more thing that can lead to all of this is when infrastructure, the basic infrastructure in the country has been sewn together. So whether it's roads, whether it's reaching out to the remotest of villages, electrification, we've been talking about 100% electrification, we still have to see that happening in action. So all of these things, along with the fact that there's employability is provided to every person, and healthcare, that's going to be one of the biggest things that we're going to be looking forward to. There is still problem, there is water, healthcare issues reaching to the villages, proper sanitation, hygiene factors. These are some things that India will have to work on to make it a cohesive economy, an economy that is moving towards being wanted to be known as a developed nation.
Absolutely. And we at NewsMobile vow that we will be your voice. We will help you amplify some of these areas where we can help make India better. Wishing you all a very happy Republic Day, and hopefully we can get an India that we all dream about. India that is progressive, that is inclusive, and where everyone is equal. Do stay tuned to NewsMobile's continuing coverage. Stay tuned to NewsMobile.